I'm going to tie an autumn Splendor, and this is in the woolly bugger family. I'm going to tie it in a size 4. I've already added a copper cone with a handful of turns of lead. The thread that I'll use is a 140, and this is in a rusty brown. I'll start it behind the lead and take my wraps through. And once I'm confident it's secure, I'll come back and trim the excess. At this point, if you wanted to put some crazy glue or Zap-A-Gap, you certainly can to make sure it stays in place, but those turns should hold it nicely. Now for the tail, I'm going to use a brown marabou. So I've selected a couple of plumes, nice full tail on this. I'll measure this out to be about a hook shank in length. And so once I've got my measurement, I'll tie it in about the barb in the hook. I'll take a couple of turns to secure it, and then I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to make a cut behind the lead and then tie it in, and that's just so I have a, I don't think it matters too much, but just so I have a nice uniform underbody or close to it. And I'll take some time to make sure that that's good and bound down. This will have some flash to it, and so I've got a variety of crystal flash. This one, again, I don't know if it comes up on camera, but has a little bit of an orange hue to it. And so I'll take 2 strands and tie them in on each side. And I want to trim it the length of the marabou tail, or maybe just a smidge longer. I'll tie it in on the other side and trim. This has 2 types of hackle in it, and you can do a lot of different color variations. Orange and grizzly hackle are 2 common ones. I like to have either a badger, a natural, or in this case I'm going to use a furnace hackle coupled with my kind of barred orange here. So I've got 2 pieces of saddle hackle, and I'm just going to strip away any of the furry bits, and I'm going to make an even cut just so that I've got uniform place to grab onto. Then I'll take these, set them on top of one another, and just like a woolly bugger, there's a lot of different ways that you can tie these. You can tie it with a rib and wrap your body and then come back down. I'm going to tie these in by the tips so I get the benefit of the taper of the feather. And I'm not going to add a rib into mine. I am going to tie it so that the orange is down and the furnace is up. And again, I don't know that it matters a whole lot, but that's going to be my dominant color, so I want it to be the last one tied in. And I'm going to wrap those in together eventually. So now I can add in my body material, and again, you can use a cactus chenille or something with more flash. This is just a regular medium chenille in worm, I think is the color, brown worm. And again, tie this in on top and down to the barb or so with the rest of my materials. Now as I look at the balance of the hook shank that's exposed, I want to think of it in terms of thirds where I'll tie in my legs. And so just beyond the point in the hook will be my first third, and then again another third about there. I like, and I've just run out, this is the last bit I have, I like these rubber legs that come tied in or come stuck together, so it comes in a strip. And this is a medium rubber leg, and so I'll tie them in together on top, and then one of the last steps I do is to separate them. It just keeps it to be a more manageable piece. But again, I am out of that, so I'll do it with my barred grizzly legs here, which is also a nice look. So in this case, I'm going to get pairs, and I've pre-cut them so that about a hook shank in length will hang out either side, and I'll trim them up more than that, but as you're selecting material to give you an idea of the length of them. I'll double it over my thread, and that's so I can make sure I've got even amounts on either side, and I'll place that and then turn it with some X-wraps. And your chenille is really going to help hold these perpendicular to the hook shank, so don't get real worried if they're facing one direction or another. So now again, you can see with these legs that come independent, they're strewn about, whereas the other ones would be stuck together, and as I wrap material up through, it's going to be would have been less to deal with. So just a word of caution there as you start to look at the different legs to use. I'm going to tie in my next set. Same process. Got my two already selected. I'll double them over to make sure that they're of same length. Set it on top. And then turn it with some X-wraps. And if we've done it close to correct, it'll look like a third, a third, a third. So at this point, I'd recommend trimming your legs, and you'll get an idea as to how long you want your legs. I'll take them just a little shorter than the length that I originally selected. So now that I have all the materials tied in, I can start wrapping them forward, and the first will be the chenille. And so side by side wraps here, 2 or 3 get you to the first pairing of legs. And you can see and kind of hold them out of the way with one hand as you wrap them up. And again, you can situate those legs using the chenille. So bring it up, tie it off. Make sure it's nice and locked down, and then I can cut that close. So now I can bring my hackle up through, and as mentioned, I'm going to wrap these together, and I'm not going to be too worried about if some of them get trapped underneath, again because the hackle is doubled up, and because when I'm done with this I'm going to brush it out, and that'll help free any that might have been captured along the way. So I'm just working my way up through here, trying to avoid the legs. The best I can. And I'll finish this behind the cone. again a couple wraps behind, hold everything, and then I can find the two stems and remove those. And I'll try to keep everything tucked in behind that bead head. So now I'll whip finish this and extend enough material. I'll put one whip finish in and then guide everything again behind the bead. If your vise has a knob or an attachment on, you can extend your bobbin beyond the back and cradle it, and that'll free up a hand to hold some of the hackle back. So I've cradled it. Now I can hold some of that hackle back until I'm ready to finish it off. I'll remove the thread, and then, as mentioned, you might have trapped some of this material down. I'll take my dubbing brush and work it through those fibers. Now it might tear some of them, which I'm not, again, too concerned with, because it'll just look like an end. But it will free up some of those that we captured through the process. So, and it gives it a nice look. And the final step is tweaking any legs, and this is why you try to trim the legs and do all that beforehand, because now it gets a little bit tight trying to remove the material. The final step is I'll sneak some head cement on the threads, and that'll all absorb in so that doesn't come loose. Great little pattern here, nice little wrinkle on the woolly bugger, and that is my take on the Autumn Splendor.